Well, I became a volunteer when I joined an angling club in Hull after I'd moved here from the West Riding this was in the early 1970s, and they had a junior section which was run by one bloke who was running himself ragged really, and he asked for volunteers, and I was amazed looking around this club that everybody immediately started inspecting the ceiling and looking at the shoes and things like that. So I said, well, I'll give you a hand, partly out of interest, so I wanted to know what it was about. But also, I suppose there was a slight selfish motive here, because this bloke was a very good angler. He'd been one of the top anglers in the country for the previous 25-30 years. So I thought, well, I might learn a bit as well, and I certainly did. So that's really how I got started. Well, nearly 40 years ago now, and I've been sort of doing it on and off ever since. My volunteering has been at both local, regional and national level. I started at local level with the local angling club, then I got involved with the national organisation at the regional level, and then finally at the national level itself. And I've volunteered at all three levels, been a member of committees, working on working parties, designing and developing programmes and things like that. But basically, most of my work has still been local, working with the local angling club, through them, in local schools, organising events and trips for youngsters. We've done work in schools with disaffected pupils that have been almost excluded from school. And it's surprising, actually, that when you get these lads in a classroom, the teachers can't believe they'll sit still. But they do when we're talking about angling. So I've just volunteered everywhere really and done all sorts of things. I think there's a big satisfaction in volunteering, because you can look back at things and you can say, I helped to create that, I was part of that. When we take some of these youngsters that have been almost excluded from school, and you see them 10 years later and they've actually got a proper job, and they're settled down, and they sort of talk to you, and they're quite nice and they appreciate what you've done. There's some satisfaction in that. But there's also, at the same time, I think there's some selfish motives that if you're in a club and you want that club to improve, the best thing to do is to roll your sleeves up and get involved. My view is that everybody should get involved with volunteering if they're a member of a club or any organisation, because at the end of the day most clubs are volunteer organisations, they're not-for-profit organisations, and if every member did half a day a year, that would probably be more than enough for the club. As it is, what tends to happen is 2 or 3 people work 2 or 3 days a week, and everybody else just sits back and ignores the problems. But I think that it is important, I think, for members of voluntary organisations, not-for-profit organisations, sporting clubs and anything else to do their bit and help, because then we're all pulling in the same direction.